The following podcast is sponsored by Luminary Leaders, Sedan Associates, and Connected Women of Influence. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the podcast. My name is Shelly Harrison, and you're listening to Speaker Central. On this episode, we talk about grow your business with story brand marketing with my special guest, Kimjera Whittington. Welcome to this episode of Speaker Central, powered by Luminary Leaders. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison. Each week, I open the conversation with my guests to unravel their perspective, solutions, and get into their mindset of business. We break down their expertise to give our audience actionable steps and content to apply in their own businesses. Catch our episodes and subscribe on your favorite podcast channel and follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Our intriguing topic today is grow your business with story-based marketing. And I bet you're all wondering what that's all about. My special guest today is Kimjera Whittington, and she is a chief brand strategist, a keynote speaker, and also a story brand certified guide. And I am so honored because we represent Kimjera as a professional speaker, and we also book her for virtual events, speaking engagements, podcast shows such as this. And we are so excited to share with you her expertise. So with that, I'm going to welcome Kimjera. Hi,
Thank
Kimjera.
you, Shelly. Hi.
Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. It's been a long time coming, so we're here now.
and I hear happy anniversary is in order for you.
Yay, it is. It's my husband and I 21st marriage anniversary.
Oh,
26 and a half years.
That's so exciting, isn't it? 21 years, and you just kind of look back and you think, wow, time's gone by so fast, right?
You think all the stuff we've been through and how many lives have we actually lived at this point?
I know. Oh, gosh. How exciting, though. And that should be a great time when you guys head away for a few days and enjoy just, your togetherness.
It'll be really good.
Yeah. So, Kimjera, tell us about yourself.
Thanks, Shelly. So most people, especially right now in these times, are trying to go digital in their marketing and in their business, and they feel overwhelmed. They don't, they waste a lot of time and money doing it with the wrong provider. And so for the last couple of years, I've built a business called Evolve Global Marketing, where we use story-based marketing to help people grow their business and do it in a way that actually gets you results and engages people. And I love what I do every single day and the clients that I have. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, that's great. I love that. And I love that you went from you pivoted from one kind of career where you were still doing the marketing, but you pivoted and now you're doing this. And I just love to see the growth that you've experienced and how you're really getting out there and supporting and helping businesses.
Well, thank you.
So can you break it down for us? When you talk about story-based marketing, tell us what exactly that means so people can really grasp what that is all about.
Sure. So story-based marketing, it's not a new concept, but it is I'm really passionate and it's really focused on understanding the customer and their journey and realizing as a business that the end user, the customer that comes to your business is actually on a journey to solve a problem. In a nutshell, that's what they're coming to, right? You think of any good movie that's out there and it goes through the hero's journey of the story, right? And the hero comes on scene and they have a problem to solve. And immediately they meet a guide who helps them, direct them in how to solve that problem. How do they get to the end result of the end of the movie in the last 3 minutes when the hero wins the day, right?
Yeah.
And so with story-based marketing, that's all we're trying to do, is we're just trying to take your customer and figure out what is the problem they're facing, how do you really help them solve it, and then use marketing and messaging to speak that way to them.
Right. And like you were saying, a hero's journey. I mean, there's a lot of companies where when they start their company, they have humble beginnings. And, there some of them are just phenomenal stories where you think, oh my gosh, they started this out of their garage. I mean, some of the most famous companies that we know about today. So for your company, and I've seen the work that you've done. And by the way, you have a beautiful website. And for those of you listeners who really want to get some inspiration, Kimjera does a lot of blogging, and I think it would be beneficial for you just to go to her website and take a look at the blogs that she's created. Not only that, the services that they provide too, because there's a lot of companies when they start their journey, things have changed dramatically over the years. Like you said, you've just really been doing marketing for a long time, but now this story-based type of marketing is a kind of a new process. And with companies, share with us where you see some of the pitfalls that maybe companies are experiencing when you start to work with them, and you either see it or you are hearing it from them firsthand. What are some of those pitfalls that they're seeing within their marketing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think probably the biggest thing that we see is that a company feels like they need to make it about them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the number one switch that you have to do when you do story-based marketing is it's not about you. And it's the hardest thing to hear. I have to tell customers all day long, like, I love you, and nobody cares. Because it's not about you. Because the truth is, people come to your website because they want to feel better, be skinnier, look a certain way, or they're trying to, have more in their life, create a better life in some way. So they're trying to get something. And it's just human. It's our human condition. It's just what we are doing, right? So we're trying to solve a problem. And that's the biggest mistake is they get to your website or they get to your business or they read an email and the email is, oh, my grandfather started this company 75 years ago and we're best places to work and we're this and we're that. And the human brain goes, you're not for me. You can't solve my problem.
Yeah.
But if you flip it and instantly it's, hey, most businesses waste a ton of money on marketing that doesn't work, right? That's what we say all the time because most companies do. Yeah. And we can help you get results. Now, suddenly that's a whole different conversation because that's what is actually the problem people are facing. And we are telling you we can help you solve that problem. We're not going to be the hero, but we're going to guide you on how to do that. And so that's, I think, the big thing that I see commonly.
Yeah. And I love that because that's important where, sometimes business owners do think it's about them. And if they focus too much on me, then, that's not solving anything for anyone other than, just giving them, a bigger ego. When, and I'm sure when and maybe not so much right now, but I would imagine that you're on a lot of Zoom calls like we all are. In the normal situation, when you're networking and you meet people, how involved do you get when you hear, like, for example, if you're networking and you have someone that you're connecting with and you start to hear their story, what about that excites you?
Are you talking about kind of when I hear their story about like how they started their business and where they got to?
Exactly. And how that might, all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, this could be someone that would benefit from, working with you.
Got it. Yeah. So I think for me, I love people and I love my clients. I love, helping. And so it's great to hear someone's story. And so usually, honestly, my reaction is that's amazing. Like I never ever feel like it's not like I go into something and go, oh gosh, you need to work with me. I think it's amazing. Yeah. And at the same time, if they did transition to a story-based type of a platform, their sales and the way they interact and communicate with people and the way people like stop and listen and engage would be vastly different. And that's the piece that most business owners don't get because they think, oh, I've got, 10 seconds to give my elevator pitch. And so I'm going to tell you all the great reasons why you should work with me. But really, in reality, if you spent that 10 seconds saying, hey, I understand most people have this kind of a problem and I can help you solve it. Now I might want to talk to you at the break.
Yeah.
So I think
it's really, And it's more about probing, right? Asking the right questions just to find out and showing them that you are genuinely interested in their story. And I think that, that helps to build relationships too, because you're taking a genuine interest in them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's like, again, how our brain is wired. Like we get excited when we get to talk to somebody that we think can help us solve a problem, and vice versa. And so I think when you start to have that kind of a conversation, it's very different. So I guess to go back to answer your question, I just get excited to get to know people. And then what I'm hoping is that I can eventually spark some interest with my conversation being about them. So being the reverse, that then they want to have a conversation, and then maybe later I can bring up to them, hey, I can help you create a brand script and brand identity and messaging and a one-liner elevator pitch that actually will engage people. And businesses get really excited about it. I had a client just today that we talked to a couple weeks ago, called me back and said, yeah, I'm ready to go. I need this, because they totally understand the value of the communication you're going to have.
Well, and now it's so critical, I think, for every business really to evaluate or reevaluate their marketing strategy, don't you?
Yeah. I think, especially in the digital world, like it's been so interesting how, COVID just brought just a transition in the economy and in businesses and in marketing in general, that some businesses were absolutely prepared for it. They were kind of on that path already. They understood the digital world. They knew what they needed, and other businesses were not. So it has really been, I think, an unfortunate learning, like a very fast learning curve that people have had to go through. They've almost been pushed in, kicking and screaming to like give it a shot, because you're gonna have to transition, at some point. And I don't know if the world will go back. I don't know. We will go back to obviously interacting, but I think we're kind of in this digital world now for real.
I think so too. And in a really fast and steady way, because I think, I was reading an article this morning about, the founder of Zoom, Eric. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name.
I know, it's totally different.
And really the success of his company, he rarely traveled. He actually did most everything on Zoom or, on another platform. And he even had it was an investors lunch where he did one investor lunch live in person, and it was in San Francisco. And, when you think about that, look at how he's a billion-dollar company. Several $billion, and for him to have that digital platform and his story, that's critical for him to get his story out there. And I think, a lot of people right now that are CEOs of companies, and going back to your point of, it's not about them. It's not about you, meaning, that CEO. It's critical for companies and CEOs of companies to really engage their whole team with, just the marketing strategy, but bringing in I think a professional, whether they have it in-house or not, but bringing someone in that can kind of look at it at that 50,000 foot level. And, someone like you, where they come in and they just completely revamp and reevaluate what's going on in that company and how, the story is being told to the clients and, to people that they serve.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I totally agree. And I think it's a really cool shift, though, as much as it's been a transition for a lot of businesses and been a little bit challenging, to say the least. And of course, just with, the state of the economy and families and all of that, my heart goes out to so many who've struggled through this.
Oh, yeah.
It's also been a really great push for businesses to adapt and to change how they're doing business. And the ones that are doing it really well are absolutely thriving right now. Like they're doing phenomenal. And we have clients all day long that are super excited about, how do I transition? And what does it really do, Shelley? In the end, it's going to give you more free time. It's going to put you, more with your family. You're going to be less time on the freeway. Of course, we live in Southern California, so we're always looking at that dang freeway time.
I know, that's true.
But how it is. Like, it's just doing that. And I think, going back to a question you had earlier about like, what can people do? I think another great thing that businesses can do today, right now, is go look at your website and see if you have a consistent call to action throughout your website, and
Mhm.
especially on the header of the hero section, you want to have your call to action right there. So if your call to, and it has to be very direct. So if your call to action is schedule a call or book an appointment or buy today, buy now, whatever it might be, you want to make sure it's listed there. And, we like to get catchy in marketing. We do get catchy and we have fun with it. We get fun with it. We do. But when it comes to calls to action, you want to be very direct. It shouldn't be changed up because you want to make it to where the human brain goes, oh, schedule call, schedule call, schedule call.
Right.
Schedule
Click
call.
here,
Okay,
click there. And it's right.
Yeah.
And I know you pointed that out. Yeah, you had pointed that out for my website where I thought, what, you're absolutely right. And we did have it prior, but, being that we kind of revamped everything and, you just reminded me it needs to be on top.
It needs to be on top and it needs to be throughout and it needs to be the same one the whole way down. Yeah. So I think that's a great tip for just anybody who's out there looking at their website and going, how do I get more sales right now? Okay, are you telling people how to do business with you? Because if people don't know, then if it takes them more, human brain, if it takes you more than like 3 seconds to figure something out, you're moving on. Those are the people that are bouncing off your website and looking for Googling somebody else. And you don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, another area that I'd like to kind of explore with you and curious about with social media, what kind of guidance would you give to people that have a business and they're trying to tell their story, and how should they, kind of approach social media?
Oh my gosh, that's such a big question because it really depends on what your goals are. I mean, social media can be amazing and it can also hurt you if you don't know what you're doing.
In a big way.
You know what I mean, right? So I think it just depends. We strategize a lot on that in do you need content creation? Are you trying to build an audience? I think one really cool trend that I've seen recently, probably in the last 3 years, is the more authentic you are in your voice, the more followers you get. So, you're doing a new mom type, school of some sort. Like we had one that did parenting. The more direct you can be about how the fact that sometimes parenting sucks, and let's just not make it all rosy. And any mom out there knows that it's not all rainbow and sunshine. I love my 3 children, and let me tell you, you have to be real. And I think the businesses that are using social to get a voice out there that's really real is doing well. I think when you're using social too, if you can do influencer marketing, you can run ad campaigns. I mean, there's lots of different strategies, but I personally think it depends on what are your goals, what is your business, what are you trying to achieve, and what is your budget? Because I think that's the biggest misunderstanding that people have is how expensive it is to have somebody actually do it for you.
I agree with that because I think a lot of people think, oh gosh, a marketing company, I don't know if I can afford that. But really, it's like you said, they have to have, what are their goals? What do they want to accomplish? And really, when you look at the ROI on an investment in marketing, it's either going to be a wonderful plan and it's going to, definitely net them ROI, or it could be a plan that maybe they're not aligned with the right marketing company because they're not really understanding their story, right? Would you?
Right. 100%. It could be that. And it can also just be, if you don't for example, I get clients a lot that say, okay, I want to run ads, and we do not run ads. That's one thing we don't do. And the reason is because you have to be an expert at it. You have to know what you're doing. Yeah. And so if you end up with somebody who says, I'll run ads for you for a couple $1,000s a month, you're not going to probably get the return that you need. You're going to have to spend $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You have to be at that level because they have to dial in an audience, and it takes a lot of failure to dial in a successful audience. And once you get it right, then you can just it's like a machine. So those are the kinds of things where I think sometimes people can fall flat because they're like, oh, I have $2,000 or I have $1,500 and you can't. We will do boosting posts and some fun things for our clients because we're mainly about content creation when it comes to that side of it. Yeah. We just don't run ads. So I think it depends on your rate. If somebody came to me and said, I want you to run my ad, I would tell them, no, I'm not the marketing company for you. And that's, I think, got to find the right people. You got to find your people, I do brand messaging and brand identity and design.
Exactly. It's the brand messaging that makes the difference. Right.
Yes.
And, if you throw a flyer out there and, and it's a special or, the next best thing, it's not going to get the traction that it would where you're telling a story and you're talking about the company where, these are the solutions. I think people are really, like you said earlier, where the authentic factor is coming back. And I think people want to hear the truth. They want to hear, what's happening with, if they have a specific company. There's just so many different ways you can look at it, where companies, when we're talking about the budgeting, they need to explore, well, let's see what it looks like. Let's see what it costs. Maybe that's something that's going to definitely make a difference and get that business to the next level. And companies sometimes don't even get that because they think, oh, we don't have the budget. Well, let's take a deeper look.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And I think content creation too, like you said, lead generating tools are really helpful. And I would say also on social, you got to give a lot away. Like in fact, the more generous of a brand you are in providing free content and free information, the more people trust you because it creates a sense of authority. And I think that's a big, especially in our story-based process, creating authority is done very different than, again, I have this degree, I've done this, I'm a superstar here. Like you kind of push that aside, and creating authority is more by your expertise in your content and relatable information. Make somebody understand that you're great, you're a great resource. So it's a twist. So I think lead generating PDFs and creating like free guides and content of your expertise in putting that out there for free. And of course, you get an email, right? You ask them to give you their email if they want it. But you want someone to get that and go, wow, that was great information. I cannot believe Shelly gave that to me for free.
Yes. And likewise, with, like I pointed out earlier for our listeners to go to your website because you have some incredible, content on there that, granted, you do have your services, but the point is you're so giving of information that, that it's going to benefit them as soon as they start reading it.
I want you I have. Download it all. Like I want people to have, because not everybody's ready to say, okay, I may have a concept, but I'm not ready to do a full brand identity with logo and messaging and figure out who I am and all that. Or I'm not ready to build a website yet. So they're not ready for us yet. And that's okay. But at least download our 9 traps to avoid when you build your website. So if you use us or use someone else, you don't make those mistakes.
Right. Speaking of those 9 traps, can you share a couple with us, the traps?
Yeah. So I kind of talked to a few of them. Not putting your call to action and being very direct is one. I think, when you make it too busy or you're inconsistent, like you're not consistent throughout your website. So we try very much to, when we build websites, to allow some white space, to allow less is more kind of thing. So I think a lot of businesses get stuck in, they put a ton of written content. And the truth is, people don't read anymore. They scan it. Yeah. So your headers matter, your subtext, not so much. They may read a few things. So bullet pointing is really good. I think another trap is the imagery. You would be amazed, Shelly, how many businesses, and oh gosh, it breaks my heart when I go there and I'm like, okay, so your whole business is about relationship building, yet you have images of mountains and the beach. And it doesn't relate.
It's not relatable, right?
It doesn't, but they're thinking like emotional, great space. Like I get where they're going with it. And they had a great designer probably, and they probably hired someone who knows a ton about Photoshop and did a beautiful website.
And stock photo, right?
Yeah.
And stock photos.
But they forget that the message and the imagery has to match. So if you're smiley, happy people is one of the best things you can put on there. If you're talking about building a great relationship, you want to see 2 people on that beach together looking like they're having a great time in a great relationship. Because that's again, I'm your customer. So I am coming to your website saying, can you help me have a great relationship? And I see imagery of beautiful, great, happy people in a relationship, then that's wonderful. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I think making that relate, I think, I think that's, sometimes you get that, like you get on a website and there'll be like a big a big image of the building that they own. And you're like, what does that have to do with your business?
Yeah, and that's more, where maybe there's an ego involved, or maybe just, lack of understanding of, how to create a website. And I know, like, when I'm looking at, different speakers, and, I see their LinkedIn pages, and I think, oh my goodness, I could definitely show them ways that they can, improve that or enhance it so that it gets more traction for them.
You are so good at that. Yes, you are really good at LinkedIn.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned a lot from you too.
I learned from you on that. You're great at LinkedIn.
Oh,
but yes,
Kimjera.
For sure. Like all that stuff has to kind of match. So imagery, making it very consistent. And then the messaging really consistent. Like I'm sure when you go to some people's LinkedIn, the message doesn't match the website. And so.
Yes, that's so true.
That you don't want that. You like kind of person.
Yeah, and it's all part of the, the brand and building that brand and the story to be in alignment with that brand. And one of the things that I would love to find out from you is, what do you feel is the biggest challenge that, since starting your company, what has been the biggest challenge or hurdle that you've experienced?
Oh, I know I know the answer to that one. For me,
I want you to be vulnerable.
I'm going to be vulnerable. For me, it has been scaling. I feel like
I didn't quite hear that.
Okay, so for me, it's been scaling my business. Figuring out how to grow appropriately. And I think part of that happened because of COVID, because you have to think, like, I mean, and I do, my heart goes out there, to people who their businesses haven't done well. And I happen to own a business that is in an industry that everybody switched to, right?
Yeah, so exactly.
We got hit the opposite. We got like, okay, a lot of people coming, and I had to decide, okay, how do I take on additional work and do a really great job at it and still wow my clients and treat them the way they want to be treated and get the results that they deserve and not overwhelm myself. And I think I've done a really great job on the results and the client part, and a really bad job on the overwhelming Kimjera part.
Oh,
it's hard to grow.
Thank you though for yes, and thank you for sharing that, Kimjera, because a lot of us, we do have that issue of scaling our companies, and sometimes it's hard to understand. Okay, well, what do I need to do to for the bandwidth of being able to take on more work and meet the demands of the work that's coming towards you. So I mean, kudos to you for hiring people and keeping people employed and still being able to scale your company so that Kimjera can be overwhelmed. So tell me what that overwhelm feels like, please, because I bet you we have the same overwhelm sometimes.
Oh God, we probably do, Shelly.
I know, right?
I would say I think I care so much that I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I sometimes find myself working 6-7 days a week. And it's just because it's like I've got the client side, but then I've got the running the business side. And so I'll wait for the running the business side for the weekends and focus on the clients. And then I then start to feel guilty, like a working mom, and you know how that all goes when I'm like, my family is wanting my attention and I'm focused. So my husband's constantly saying to me that I have to learn how to like, A, say no, and B, figure out when again is the right time to hire the next person so that I don't have to take on that much more and we can still service people. But in order to do that, you people right, like everybody on my team. Did I lose you?
You know what, Kimjera, that last, the bandwidth was not, okay.
I lost you. You went dark on me.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah. So let's see. So the last question that I asked was about, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the overwhelmed feeling.
Yeah, but how did I ask it? So tell me, here, let me start from here. So Kimjera, tell me what that overwhelmed feeling is for you.
Good question. I would, I think it's just that feeling of I don't want to disappoint. And at the same time, I think it's combined with, working 7 days a week sometimes. And then you're trying to be a mom and work and be a mom and be a wife and all of the things. And at what point, my husband's constantly saying that I need to learn how to politely say no sometimes. And so I've gotten much better at that. We don't take on all clients anymore. We're selective because I only have one me, and then I have my team and they're all doing their stuff. And so I just want to give great service. So I'd rather give it to less and learn how to add a person and scale when the time is right. Because then I got to train them and they got to learn story-based marketing. And, everybody in my team is an expert in what they do. And so I think it's that overwhelmed of like, I want to move fast, but then I'm overworked. And so it's just that balance. I don't know. Do you feel it, Shelly? Do you do everything?
I do. Yeah. Because I'm having some of the same challenges, Kimjera, where, and I've been in business now for almost 7 years. So, what I'm feeling is, we're number one, we're in COVID. So that kind of complicates it even more. And I've been working, out of the home office ever since I started my company. But I'm noticing, like my husband, we're very active in terms of, going out and bike riding, going out date nights and things like that. And sometimes, he's very understanding, but in the same token, he doesn't like, if I pick up my phone, he's like, what are you doing with your phone?
Yeah.
You're with me right now.
Right.
So we have to, exactly. So it's like, oh my gosh, you're darned if you do. And I'll be completely honest because I used to work 6-7 days a week. But honestly, Kimjera, I finally came to that conclusion that I thought, you know what? I can't work 6 and 7 days a week because I have so many things that need to get done behind the scenes, getting the house clean and doing, I'll be honest, we use Instacart. My kids help me clean house. So it's a team effort, but I'm still like you, running a company, building an empire, just like you. And we're trying as women, to really be, CEOs of our companies, right?
Yeah. And you're doing awesome. And believe me, I'm learning the same thing right now. Like I now have added it just in the last month and a half. I added it to my contracts, like when I'm available, because I used to just be open. You can call me any day, anytime. But I have clients all over the world. Like I have a client in Australia. I have one in the Philippines. I have 2 in Canada that I just signed. And so my clients are on weird time zones. And so I originally opened it up and was just wanting to be available. And I've learned how to, I got to shut that down. I've got to stop working on the weekends. Little by little, I'm getting there. And part of that is learning how to not take on more than I can handle. But it's all good. I can't complain. I love it. I love every minute of it. I have the most amazing clients. And I love meeting people, like you and the luminary leaders and just, being out and just meeting people that are doing what we're doing and just trying to build a business, even in an uncertain time, really.
Yeah, in uncertain times. And fortunately, what you do is something that is in demand right now. And, companies, I think, and I would love to see you do Facebook Live. I think that would be ideal for you. And I know we have you scheduled on Facebook Live for Luminary Leaders coming up, and we'll push that out and, have people learn what you do and how you do it and your team. But I think, what you're doing, Kimjera, is amazing. And, just to see, because you and I met about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. And you were doing something totally different then. And now just to see, being that you have that experience of, the marketing background that you do, it's very comprehensive and high level. And now you have your own company. That is phenomenal that you've, evolved, right? Evolved into, and when you think of COVID-19, you're evolving in this too, where you're really, and how do you reach those clients in another country? How are you attracting those clients?
I think it's just content creation. Now it's a lot of word of mouth. A lot of our clients come from referral.
That's great.
Yeah. So, referral. Yeah. And we blog and we, talk to people all over and we participate in groups and, everything that you can do to try and, just meet people that are looking for services anywhere. And, there's a lot of people who are in other countries that do look for services from America. And I don't think they're specific. They would get them from anywhere. It's just they find the right person and company that fits them.
Right. And your storefront, I think, is highly professional, the way that your website and just the way that you handle your clients. So I think overall it's, like you said, it's the story-based marketing that is definitely the eye catcher, where people will gravitate to your services and to your messaging, to the content that you're putting out there.
Yeah, I think, thank you. Thank you for that. I just hope we keep doing great work and, keep getting, and we like to promote our clients and get their message out there. So I think the more you do that, the circle, it's the universe, it goes around.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
And kind of, we only have a minute or two left, Kimjera. What would you really like to share with our audience, knowing that, we're hoping that millions of people will see this episode and we'll be pushing it out on all of our platforms. What do you really want people to know? What do you want to leave us with?
Probably just leave with that, digital marketing is not as scary as you think. If you find the right company and you build the right message, you will be successul. Like, it is literally about relating to people in a way that engages them and gets them to believe in you. And so I guess I would leave you with that. Like, don't be afraid of it. The worst thing you can do is try and get it perfect and then never do anything because you're so scared of moving forward. Find somebody that you trust, and I'm telling you, your business idea or your current business will grow if you believe in it and you try and you build the right message.
Yes. No, and those are great words of lasting impression. And for people to reach you, can you share with us the website where people can find you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website at evolveglobalmarketing.com. And if you message me or send me an email at hello@evolveglobalmarketing.com, I'm happy to offer a free consultation. You can also book it right on my website. But I do a free strategy call. I'll review your website, walk through what you're doing today, and provide free tips. Again, no obligation whatsoever. I'm just, I'm here to serve. And I know that that's the way to, for my joy, to help people. So feel free to jump in there, and I'm happy to help. Send me an email or schedule on my website.
That's awesome, Kimjera. And I hope that our followers and listeners really hold you to that, where they make the effort to, reach out to you, because I think that's something that is, you're offering it complimentary, but in the same token, you're really able to identify some things that could be solutions for them, and to see if you're both a good fit, in terms of the marketing that you could provide for them and what they need to really take advantage of.
Yeah. So and some people, again, thank you. Whatever they need, I'm here. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have all of your contact information in the show notes and, everywhere that we post. I'd like to thank you, Kimjera, for being on Speaker Central today. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and, I'm so lucky because I've known you for a few years, and I get to interview my friends. So I love it.
Thank you.
All right. So Kimjera, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really enjoyed our conversation. And I'm so fortunate because, I get to work with you, and I know that our listeners will definitely find value in the conversation that we had. And I want them to take advantage of the offer that you provided too, which is a review of their website. So great job on that. So thank you, Kimjera. And to our followers and listeners, you can catch us on all of your favorite podcast channels. Follow us. And until next time, we'll see you then.
Hey everyone, did you enjoy this episode? If you did, please feel free to subscribe to Speaker Central.